How's it going, everyone? This is your Astrology Horoscope, or your full moon in Virgo horoscope for the weekend of February 24th and 5th, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moon Base. Hope you guys had a great week. This full moon is now happening, and, we've experienced so much already in 2024. This is our second full moon already. Just, they say time flies. Who knows? Who knows where it goes? But it's here forever. And I think that's very relevant to talk about with this moon, opposing the sun and opposing Saturn, and with Mercury here as well. So we're very much in a place of a much more sensitive place, a much more intuitive place. And I think we're ready to kind of end some of these toxic patterns that we've been stuck in with Saturn. And Saturn's really helping us. Saturn's now at 9 degrees. Saturn's out of its shadow. And Saturn's moving into territory that we haven't seen since 1994. 95, right? So we're being taught new lessons here, in the lessons that we've kind of gone through since last year when Saturn ingressed into Pisces. We're kind of graduating the first phase of Saturn here, right? It's kind of like you graduate preschool, then you graduate middle school, and then you graduate high school. It's like there's multiple levels of graduating here. So Saturn on its way into the second decan of Pisces. We're getting into whole new territory, whole new lessons, a whole new curriculum, so to say. And it's really connected to our spirituality and our subconscious, that very private space within us, the things that people don't see, the muck, the shit underneath the hood, where you're in the closet where you just tuck everything away and kind of bury it, right? And I think this full moon is bringing out a lot of deep emotions into the open. We've gone through a lot this week. This week's been very emotional, very intense. The more feminine energy is starting to lead the way here. And we haven't felt that in a long time. And with this full moon, it's really kind of highlighting that and showing that. It's like, hey, we're ending like a pretty long cycle here. We've just ended many cycles, and we're starting many new cycles with all these conjunctions happening at the same time. So, it's like we're ready to end a lot of these unhealthy patterns that we've been stuck in. And with our minds now moving through this Pisces area of the zodiac, and Mercury getting ready to conjunct the sun and Saturn. With this full moon, I think, it's like not being able to just say to yourself and to whoever you're connected with, and whatever you're reflecting now. Like we're all kind of, when full moons come up, like we all kind of reflect each other's subconscious spaces back to one another in a much more sensitive kind of way, whether we realize it or not. But now it's like this Mercury in Pisces, it's like every word we say to somebody or to ourselves, it's like there's not just one meaning to it, right? It always means something else coming from a deep subconscious space. There's always many meanings to it, right? It's like looking at a piece of art and seeing the layers within it, and that this one ultimate meaning also reflects many different things beneath it, and things that you may not have seen and been aware of, right? Like in a psychedelic space, right? Or like a tarot card. Any form of spirituality. It's being able to interpret the many layers of the meaning. And that could be many things, and that is also subjective to your own experience. And that's what Mercury in Pisces is all about. And that's what Pisces is all. That's what Neptune shows us, It's more about how an image can reflect meaning and purpose, right? It's not the literal kind of, that part of that painting is blue. Okay, but why is it blue? What does that blue represent? That blue represents, a more calming, somber area, right? Like, it's not just the fact that it's blue. It represents something more meaningful and deep. And I think with this full moon too, we're starting to really remind ourselves like, hey, like, we have to tap into that space even more so, as much as this moon in Virgo wants to be more practical and find more practical ways to build a healthier, stronger structure in our lives. Like, I think we have to have a balance of being practical, but also like, looking at the layers within these different areas of our lives, the meanings within the meanings within the meaning. That's where the beauty lies, is like realizing that the layers really never end, that it can be infinite. The meaning can go on forever, And with Saturn here, it's really like teaching us like, hey, like, we got to clean out the gunk. We got to clean out the closet. We can't just keep shoving shit away. We can't just like take this problem and just save it for later, right? I don't want to deal with it right now. Like, now we're having to deal with a lot of our own subconscious stuff. And we've gone through so much relationship dynamics with these nodes and Chiron. But now this is really getting into our own subconscious space. That kind of place that we don't really show people, So I think with this full moon too, like with the emotions that are coming up and the feelings that are coming up, we want to be more vulnerable. Chiron North Node is teaching us to be more vulnerable and not just like tuck things in and just want to put on a mask and just like put on a front, right? It's like we want to be vulnerable no matter who we're with, where we're at in life, what time it is, if we're asleep or if we're awake, right? And that's kind of what this full moon feels like too. It's like, are we asleep or are we awake? What is reality? What is real? This is very kind of Alice in Wonderland kind of full moon, especially with Venus now leading the way here. I think it's really nice, like, to feel this. It's much more of a time of receiving, right? Instead of going and getting shit, like I think it's been, how long? I mean, it's been 2 years since Venus and Mars had their conjunction. So, and Mars went direct last January 2023. So it's been over a year since we're starting to feel this receiving kind of energy, and really since the Venus retrograde in July 2023. So, we want to really focus on our internal space today and kind of clean house, put things in order, repair things, fix things that need to be fixed, clean off the table, stop piling up the mail on the kitchen table where you can't even eat, right? It's kind of that vibe right now, where things can just collect and build up and you just deal with it, right? And you just walk around it and almost pretend like it's not even there and even feel that it's even there. And Pisces has a bad habit of doing that, right? It's like you could just leave pizza crust all around the house and, it's fine, right? Now's the day to clean up your environment, right? Start this new cycle in a much more cleanly, healthy way. A clear space is a clear mind, and a clear mind is a clear heart. So, I think with this full moon too, it's like also reminding us that what we choose to take into our bodies, into our physical bodies, also reflects our subconscious state. So if we're eating like shit, our subconscious is shit, right? That's very Virgo Pisces axis, is our physical health and our mental health, our spiritual health. It's, we want to be able to balance these things. And, there's definitely some emotions coming up today with this full moon that can be very challenging. It can feel very heavy and very intense in a spiritual way. not necessarily what we experience with Pluto and Aquarius and all the personal planets dealing with Pluto, but this is very much, a serious energy coming through, but in a more ethereal way. It's hard to explain. Saturn in Pisces, is, you feel it, but you feel it in a way that you don't really feel Saturn normally, because it's so ethereal, right? And then we have Neptune here as well. It's like, man, trying to hold on to something is a little hard right now. So this full moon in Virgo's saying like, hey, like you need to get a grip. If you're, indulging in substance or indulging in just escapism, like it's not going to play out well. You're going to miss the message. The messenger coming through here with Mercury, it's like you got to be realistic in your spiritual life, right? It's like in the spiritual community and the New Age community, it's just like, oh my God, like you get so sucked into all these like ridiculous kind of spiritual places that aren't even real and true, that are totally out of this world, that really don't help at all in your daily personal life. You see a lot of that with Neptune and Pisces. Once Neptune goes into Aries, we're going to see a lot of that shit go away, to be honest. And I'm excited for that. So we can get, when it comes to the spirituality, it's like getting down to the real shit, the real truth of just like being a human being, not fucking wearing white and, being in a cult. There's so much of that shit, Yeah, and it's just like, this full moon really wants us to be more practical in our spirituality and in our physical health, and doing more physical things that are good for us, that can enhance our spirituality, enhance our spiritual frequency, and help us find better ways of healing. We're in a very sensitive space of healing. This Chiron North Node's still here. Chiron's still at 16 degrees. So when they start breaking apart and then Venus and Mars start breaking apart, then we're going to be like, okay, like we're starting to move through this now. Like we're ready to go. We're on a whole new cycle. We're on a whole new journey. And this full moon is definitely ending a lot of what we've experienced and putting kind of the nail in the coffin of like, okay, like we've crossed all these points. Now we got to take the training wheels off, right? That's kind of what this full moon is feeling like. It's like we've been through a lot and we're ready to, take this journey on our own. We have what we need. We have all the support we need. Jupiter is giving us a lot of support. A lot of the most amazing gifts are coming through here in the next few months with Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, in very weird ways, in unexpected ways. As long as your channels are open, as long as the channels are clean, with this Pisces energy, and it's easy to just kind of make a mess of things, So we want to keep the channels open by keeping it clean, keeping our channels, thorough. It doesn't mean you got to obsess over things like Virgo can do with this full moon in Virgo, but it definitely means like, yeah, you got to find a balance of like keeping things in check, keeping things realistic and practical, but also like being in that spiritual, intuitive place with your higher power or God or whatever it is, because those two things have to work together in a very healthy, practical way. And that's what this full moon is reminding us, is being spiritual, but being practical and not getting caught up, in the fantasy of spirituality or the fantasy of a relationship or the fantasy of an idea of a person or a figure or a leader or whatever. Like, like we're seeing more religious BS, happen in the world, and people like, taking weird, unnecessary measures based upon their beliefs, right? So this full moon's also reminding us like, hey, like we don't want to be being so judgmental and dogmatic or self-righteous with our beliefs. We all have different ways of doing things. We all have different cultures that we come from and different genetic makeups, and I think the question with Mercury and Pisces in this Sun-Saturn conjunction is looking at how much damage that way of being has been, especially through the age of Pisces over the past 2,000, 2,500 years, and the damage that has left. And now moving into this Aquarian space of, okay, like, you know, we need to be spiritually connected, but we also have to accept that we all come from different areas and different places, you know, that, you know, religions have their own place. Astrology has its own place. Spirituality has its own place, you know, so it's easy to get caught up in your beliefs right now and putting pressure on your beliefs. And maybe I sound that way right now. I don't even know. But yeah, you know, we're ending a lot of old cycles. You know, we just went through North Node Chiron conjunction, Venus-Mars conjunction, all the personal planets conjuncting Pluto. Now we're going to have this Saturn, Sun, Mercury conjunction after this full moon, just days after this full moon. So many conjunction points. You know, we're having a full moon in Virgo today, but it's like these conjunction points that we all just went through over the past month and a half. So really since the new year began, it's like many new moons in every aspect of our lives. You know, so, and then we're going to have the long-awaited Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So it's like every planet in the zodiac over the next few months, the first quarter of this year, are having massive conjunctions that are really important and really impactful. So, you know, these cycles are ending. We're ready to move into a whole new space. And, you know, we just want to be able to clean out the gutters, right? Why is it saying that? That's so weird. Let me get, wow. Oh, we got the star card. So, you know, this really brings up to me like Venus now leading the way. We haven't felt this energy in such a while that, like, you know, there's new life being born here. There's new life coming into this world. There's new life coming into our souls, into our bodies. You know, this full moon can be very healing. And it can also be, you know, a heavy reminder of like, hey, like you want to illuminate a new world. Like you have to be willing to do the work, you know, and not get caught up in the muck and not keep tucking things away and not keep putting things off and brushing things off. Saturn is becoming more prominent in our daily lives over the next week, you know, so we want to be putting in the Saturn work, right? We want to keep it Saturn. And, you know, this star card too is like, you know, we got to release, you know, these kinds of past toxic patterns and traits that Neptune and Pisces, we can get stuck in. It's like a videotape. You just play it over and over and over and over again, and it can get insane, you know, and we could just decide to just cleanse that and remove that and wash that away and shed the skin and become a new version of ourselves. And I think that's what we are doing, especially with all the personal planets that just came into contact with Pluto. It's like we are transforming in such a powerful way, you know, and especially physically, and where we are connecting with other people and where, you know, our relationship side, the relationship side of us and how that's transforming. And how things have changed so much just already in 2024 in our personal lives. And now at this full moon in Virgo, it's like, you know, we have to be able to shed that skin and our subconscious, so to say. We want to peel off the skin of our subconscious. It's a funny term. It's a funny phrase. But yeah, this is a very powerful new moon. And this is like kicking off many new cycles through all these conjunctions that we just went through. And yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this. I don't think I've ever seen pretty much every single planet in the zodiac have massive conjunction points such close timing together. And then we're going to have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which really isn't that far away. It's really not. We're 6 weeks away. We're 6 weeks away from that. And you put it in that perspective, it's like, wow, we're getting close. So, this is a very powerful full moon. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Definitely be cleansing them gutters, cleaning up the mess, cleaning up your environment, because we're on a new cycle here. So, I wish you all the best, and I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Peace out.